welcome back to our show, your show, Let's Talk Stocks. In studio with us this morning, as promised, Stephan Smith has rejoined us, and he's the ICT Manager at Konnexx Services Jamaica Limited. And of course, welcome back,
Thanks
Stephan.
for having me again. Thanks for having me again, man.
So last time we talked a little bit about the infrastructure and the importance of technology and how much you worked in building that out, certainly locally. As we look at that though, how important is it that our human capital be developed to take advantage of all the improvements in technology and the necessary work that we're going to need going forward?
It's very important because, of course, with technology, everything is changing. This week, this is a hit thing. Next week, it's something else. So you need to have competent persons working on these projects. At Konnexx, for example, we have our entire training department that focuses on ensuring that the standard across the board for everyone is high and that the quality that you're expecting, we will deliver on. So much so that a lot of the time our trained local resources are sent overseas to complete some of these projects that persons like the smaller Caribbean islands may not have the necessary resources for. So definitely it's very important. It's very important for us to have.
Jamaica has played a pivotal role in a number of things across the region. Are we seeing us taking the lead here again? I mean, certainly big telecom companies like Digicel are based in Jamaica but have gone across the region. You do a lot of that infrastructure work for Digicel. Are we seeing the need, a demand for our human resources across
like we said
the region?
in our previous discussion, we're seeking to become the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean. So definitely there is that role that Jamaica has to play, being one of the more advanced nations, the government playing their role, and of course as private sector institutions, we're trying to play our role in ensuring that across the region the impact is felt.
Should this training that we're now seeing, you have a big training department and you're focusing on developing that, should we be doing more, much earlier, even in the high school level, throughout university?
Definitely. So one of the major programs that Konnexx ourselves play, we have a non-profit called Connected Minds, with the same K, spelled with a K, where we take high school soon-to-be graduates and we expose them to the industry, expose them to similar jobs, and say come in and work during the summer so you can get that experience to know what it is like to try and, from an early stage, to have persons kind of exposed to what it is to work on fiber, what it is to work in the ICT and the technology sector. So definitely when it comes to the high school, we do need these programs to start as early, maybe even earlier than high school, maybe even as young as primary and prep school. Get them exposed. Because overseas is the same thing, that they have those programs in place. So definitely we need to ensure that we have adequate programs in place to facilitate the growth and development of the youth.
Here's the thing, Stephan. So we've focused a lot on building out, say, the BPO sector, which runs on the kind of infrastructure that you do. But the jobs that we provide, very important though they are relatively low-income jobs. But when we're talking about upping the ante, certainly you're employing what, over 400 engineers across. Is there a need to focus more on that kind of job creation, on preparing our people for taking on problem solution using technology?
So it goes back to our previous question. Persons are not exposed to these fields, so they're not. So I'm used to doctor, lawyer, teacher,
traditional,
the traditional stuff. I know the BPO is becoming traditional. So if we're not exposing our locals to these industries and say, there's a possibility for you to go and study and become, because it's not like to become a fiber engineer, we're going to tell you that you need a 4-year degree and it's basic entry-level read and write and certification that is needed. We have our local institutes that provide necessary certification and start. I can tell you at Konnexx, when we were expanding to be able to can facilitate a lot of our clients' need, we had barbers, we had farmers, we had bartenders, all these persons that we brought in and trained. So it was not that all these persons are, you know, the brightest of the brightest and they went to Harvard or whatever. It was the regular man who had an interest in providing for his family and say, yes, I would like to learn how to do these tasks, and Konnexx took them under our wings and trained them. And now we're at, like you said, 400 of these people that we send across the region, even in the LATAM region, the Latin American region. We have persons working under the Konnexx brand. Guyana, we're helping the Guyanese to build out their telecoms infrastructure. And these are the same persons locally that just showed an interest to say, hey, I would love to not just be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, bartender. I want to be an engineer. So yes, there is the avenue for us to facilitate that growth.
Talk to us about your foray into Guyana and even more so the LATAM region, because we are used to the English-speaking Caribbean region, and Guyana is English-speaking, but certainly the fastest growing country in the region.
Definitely.
But when you've gone also into the LATAM, the Spanish-speaking, etc., where I understand there are lots of opportunities, should we be paying more attention?
Yes, when you think about the size of the English-speaking countries in comparison to the Spanish-speaking, it's a small dot compared to the amount of persons that we can facilitate. And of course, it's the same thing. If we have competent and certified persons who can execute on these projects, I do think we can shift a bit of focus. Of course, you want to ensure that your yard is properly built out, and so you know, you make sure that your infrastructure here is up to par. But we can start the early stages of preparation and discussions in terms of exporting some of our human resources and looking at doing business with those countries and regions.
All right. So again, when we look at it, Konnexx is, again, as we say, a locally built company. What is it like? How are we accepted across the region? Being, you know, a Jamaican company, doing what the region normally has to go outside.
So it's not even so much that they look at you and say, oh, you're a Jamaican. It's more so the quality and standard of work that you're judged by. So when you come and you go to the different places and they see the quality and standard of work that we put in and the timeline in which we deliver these projects are like, so you know, when you go overseas, they might tell you 3-4 months and we do the same thing in 1 month and it's up to standard. I can share with you, I was watching a video on YouTube where I was looking at a North American company in the same ISP space. And I was saying, but this is Konnexx, we're doing the same thing. We have the same trucks, we have the same infrastructure in place, we have the same standards. So it's not more so that they look at us to say, oh, Jamaicans, but the work itself speaks volume. So that for me, it's more so we're judged by our work and we've been getting
and you've been able to deliver at the high level in terms of quality.
There you go. We've been getting A+. So for us, it's more so judge us based on the work that we provide.
That we put out there.
Definitely.
What about retraining? Because the technology is constantly changing. How you're able to keep up?
So with anything, you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn. So which is why we developed a training facility internally to be able to can provide that retraining. So for example, myself, being a UTech graduate, when I left UTech, whatever I learned then, I would have to, you know, continue and continue learning to be able to keep up with the technology, because then now 5G is a new thing now that everybody has to be. So part of what we promote is that you must always be learning and researching. Under my department, it's also technology research.
Yes.
So, which is why I was telling you, we are not the regular ICT, but even though we do what is known, we also try to figure out what is not known. So it's definitely important to be retraining, and we always try to see what's the latest certification out there. How do we go about getting our ISO standards and all of those different things in place.
So thank you very much, Stephan, for joining us on the show. Absolutely great to have this chat with you. As you heard, Konnexx Services connecting the dots across the region and delivering at the highest level of international standard, the quality and service in the products that they provide. Join us again tomorrow morning at 9 when we'll have another wonderful show lined up for you.